Hey, Shalom. Today I'm reacting to a video. A Catholic professor is talking about his conversion from Calvinism, whatever it can mean, some Calvinism, like broad Calvinism, to Catholicism. And what was the main reason for this conversion? I chose this part of the video with the idea to show how not to study the scriptures. Here's Dr. Bergsma's story as I understood it. He was a leader of a church, non-Catholic one, for about 10 years. He probably had some education for this. Then he started the studies of Catholic fathers of the Catholic Church. Not the scriptures, not to deeper learn the scriptures, but to deeper learn about teachings of the fathers. He then had a lot of conversations with one of his Catholic friends. And after several months of discussing biblical apologetics, Dr. Bergsma was, as he figuratively put it, he was floored by a verse from the book of Revelation about Mary. Here's the part of the video where he himself tells about it.
How long then before that moment and you looking into the Catholic Church?
Only a matter of months.
Oh, really?
So a few months later, I was in dialogue with a Catholic friend, Michael Dauphiné, now at the at Ave Maria University, and we had reached an impasse in kind of biblical apologetics. I gained a lot of respect for his Catholic apologetics. In fact, today's first reading for the Feast of the Assumption, that was my first indication that Mary might be something more than just, the mother of Jesus, but might actually be Queen of Heaven. There was this incident where Michael and I were sitting in the food court called the Huddle in the University of Notre Dame. And he had just defeated several of my apologetic points about Catholicism, and I was trying to think of something to really like pin him to the wall. And so I challenged him because I saw this icon of the Blessed Mother on the wall in the food court that said Mary, Queen of Heaven. I'm like, all right, here's one for you. Give me one passage of scripture that gives any indication that Mary is Queen of Heaven. That's an almost blasphemous title. And he didn't even miss a beat. He went straight to Revelation 12. And he just laid it out. And he says, look, we've got a woman here. She's in the sky, which is the heavens, so she's heavenly. She's got a crown, so she's a queen. So she's a heavenly queen. And then she gives birth to a male child who's destined to rule the nations with a rod of iron, which is clearly Jesus, because that's an allusion to Psalm 2 about the Messianic son of David. And so you've got a heavenly queen who gives birth to Jesus. How can this not be talking, in some sense at least, about the Blessed Mother? And I was like, where did you come up with that passage? Are you sure that's in the book of Revelation?
Let me check.
Let me check my Bible. And that just floored me.
A common response to that from Protestants, though, is it represents Israel or the church.
Okay, so let's stop on this. So I'm going to pause this video and let you a couple of minutes to figure out what's just happened. Dr. Bergsma had been a leader of a church for about 10 years, right? That means that he was teaching the Bible, he wasn't just a regular attendee. Okay. He was supposed to answer questions and teach the Bible, right? And that was Calvinism. Well, I don't know. That may be Presbyterian, Episcopalian, or maybe Baptist. We don't know. I don't know. I don't know his story. I've seen a couple of videos, and he never expanded on it was just Calvinism. Okay. So, nevertheless, the verse from Revelation 12 was totally unknown to him. So he was floored by this. His jaw dropped. Okay. So that's first. Then in his as he told his story, it was that he went for theological studies, and again, this verse again, he did not see this verse during his graduate theological studies. I'm not just trying to degrade Dr. Bergsma. That's not the point. He is a doctor of theology, and he knows a lot, and he's a very educated man. Okay, that's we're not going to take it from him. But the point is, as I said in the beginning, is to show how not to study the Bible. Okay, that's the point. That you and I would like to add one more thing over here. You know, sometimes you can hear, and very seldom, but I think it's a very crucial point that you don't study the fathers of the church, or like in Judaism, the Talmud. You don't start studying Talmud or some mystical teachings until you master your Bible. Okay, that's the point. So, okay, so let's continue listening, and that will be very interesting. I'll go a little bit back.
I checked my Bible, and that just floored me.
A common response to that from Protestants, though, is it represents Israel or the church with the 12 apostles, the 12 disciples.
Yeah, you know, sure, but every other character there is an individual. Like Satan's there; he's the red dragon, and he's an individual.
Okay, well, here we go. Now he's moving to reasoning about other characters and building analogy of those characters with the woman in the sky. Okay, here we go.
Male child is clearly Jesus, and he's an individual. So if you're going to accept that the male child isn't just a corporate identity, but it's specifically Jesus, and the dragon isn't just a corporate identity, it's specifically Satan, like how can you rule out that the woman can't also be an individual? You know,
yeah, fair enough. Because there's also an eagle that takes her into the desert. The eagle doesn't represent anyone individually,
right?
Okay, so now wait a minute. So there is an eagle, but I'm not sure it was an eagle. What I read in the chapter, here we go, let's read it. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head, right? She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. Okay? The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She fled in the wilderness. Okay, so let's go to this thing. And here it is. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle so that she might fly. So not that she might be taken by flying to the place, but so she might fly by herself. All right, very interesting, right? So, and
yeah, and it doesn't work to take her just corporately, No,
my argument's against yours. So you have the eagle that takes the woman. I'm saying to you that wasn't an individual person Revelation was pointing to. So
okay.
Why not, so maybe your argument isn't as good as you think it is if you say every individual in this mentioned in Revelation it is in reference to a specific individual, since I don't think the eagle is.
Right. Well, okay, let me go back to this though. The woman gives birth to the male child, okay?
But it's not Mary. It's like, okay, but why do you have to say that? Like, why are you so bent on this not being Mary when it couldn't seem clear?
Right. I mean, that's my, but okay, this is the thing. Like the way that Michael put it to me is like, can you rule
I
out?
like that.
All
I
right.
like that low bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you rule out? And I'm like, no, I can't rule that out. And
Okay, so, whoo, question of eagle remains unanswered. Okay, we forgot about. So the main question is, can we rule out? And can we rule out? And what would be, I would add, what would be the basis for this ruling out? So again, let's listen to the end. And
all through the scriptures, Mary is more than Mary. I mean, she's symbolic of the people of God, just like Jesus in many episodes is more than Jesus. He's kind of like when Jesus goes into the desert.
okay, so now we are going about Jesus and symbolism of Jesus and symbolism of Mary. So, okay, can we rule it out? So, can we rule it out? And I just vividly see this conversation between these two gentlemen, and the inability of Dr. Bergsma to do anything, to answer, to ask proper questions, and to answer correctly as a true Protestant or Calvinist. Calvinist probably is a word for Protestant in Catholicism. I'm not sure how they do it, how they do it. Anyway, so what's going on here? So we read the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God. There she might be taken care of for 1260 days. Okay. So now, what would be the correct answer to that Catholic friend of Dr. Bergsmas? So in my Bible, I'm not going to show you so, but in my Bible, the 12th chapter is beginning of the 12th chapter is on one side, and and on the other side. So you need to turn the page. Okay, if you don't turn the page, you don't know what's there at the end. Let's read what's in the end. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given the 2 wings. Yeah, we already spoken about that. She was given the wings, literally, like Mary grew the wings. Okay. So a great eagle, it's not just eagle, it's a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness. Where she would be taken care of for a times and half time, 3.5 years, out of the serpent's reach. Then from his mouth, the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river so that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Well, so earth swallowed the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage a war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. On the side note, it is what we call remnant. Keep God's commands and hold their testimony about Jesus, Yeshua. Okay? So, now, the interpretation of a woman in Revelation 12 has been a subject of theological debate, with some people identifying her as the Virgin Mary and the others as a representation of Israel. To address the claim that the woman is Mary and not Israel, let's analyze Revelation 12, 13, 17. That is the end of the chapter, right? So within the broader context of the chapter. So what we do, we take the whole context of the chapter And sometimes we would need to have more than a chapter. We will need to go beyond the chapter, the beginning of the chapter, and beyond the end of the chapter to get the broader context. So the woman as Israel in Revelation 12, 13, 17, verse 13 describes the dragon, Satan, pursuing the woman after being cast down to earth. The woman is then given the two wings of a great eagle, as we said, to escape into the wilderness for 1260 days, 3.5 years. This aligns with the imagery of Israel's deliverance and preservation during tribulation, which is a common theme in biblical prophecy, like in Daniel 7:25 and in Daniel 12:7. The Virgin Mary, as a historical figure, does not fit this narrative of prolonged period of persecution and divine protection in the wilderness. So let alone the wings, what else? Yes. So yes. So what do we have? We have wilderness. We have wings, and we have prolonged period of persecution and divine protection, right? So it does not fit. Mary doesn't fit this this narrative. So in Revelation 12:17, let's go to 17, it states that the dragon goes off to wage war against the rest of the woman's offspring, described as those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. Okay, that's number 17 over here. And this suggests that the woman symbolizes a community or group, specifically Israel, and by extension, those who are grafted in, believers in Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, rather than a single individual like Mary. Okay, the whole chapter is symbolic. The imagery of the woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars, Revelation 12:1. Okay, 12:1. Strongly echoes Joseph's dream in Genesis 37:9-11. Okay, again, it is Genesis 37:9-11, where these elements represent Jacob. And Jacob is Israel, Yaakov, Rachel, Rachel, and the 12 tribes of Israel. So by not knowing the symbolism of and the stories of the Old Testament, we are prone to mistakes like those two gentlemen made. The woman giving birth to a male child who is destined to rule all nations with a rod of iron, Revelation 12:5, can be seen as representing Israel bringing forth the Messiah, Jesus Christ, consistent with Old Testament prophecies. So now, while Mary is certainly the literal mother of Jesus, the scope of Revelation 12 transcends her role. The chapter portrays cosmic and prophetic events involving spiritual conflict, persecution, and the protection of God's people. Mary does not symbolically represent the broader collective of God's covenant people, which the text emphasizes. So it is not Mary. Additionally, Mary's personal history doesn't align with the specific details of the woman fleeing into the wilderness and being pursued by the dragon. These aspects fit the experiences of Israel as a nation historical persecutions, exiles, and the divine protection. And in eschatological terms, the trials faced by God's people during the end times. So here we come to the conclusion. Revelation 12, 13, 17 provides strong evidence that the woman represents Israel rather than Mary. The symbolic nature of the woman and her role in the cosmic conflict, the description of her offspring, and the connection to Old Testament imagery support the view that she embodies the people of God, both ethnic Israel and those who grafted in from the nations, rather than being limited to Mary as an individual. So, what is the lesson we're learning from this? We are learning that when we study the Bible, we are not taking one verse, two verses, even a paragraph sometimes does not suffice. We need to take the whole chapter, and sometimes we need to have the chapter before and the chapter after to understand what this story is about. Okay, that would be it. Thank you for listening, and shalom, and see you next time. Bye.